Good afternoon. So my name is Sandra Nicolaysen, and I'm here today to talk about Mars in the ninth house. You probably you have already seen my videos about Mars that I did. I've been doing it in fractions because Mars takes so much energy to talk about that. It takes a while for us to work with Mars in different houses. So today I wrote 4 long pages about Mars in the ninth house, and I want to share with you my findings about it. I've been doing a lot of journaling lately in the ninth house. It really intrigues me because I have the sun and the moon in the ninth house, and it's a house of the higher mind. It's when you are putting yourself in a position of being a deep learner, someone who likes to differentiate what's right and what's wrong, because Mars has everything to do with being projected towards a certain area of your life. And when it's in the ninth house, it's about seeking the truth. It's about seeking what really makes sense in a more scientific way from the point of view of the academic pursuits of the ninth house. Mars there is very energetic, likes to collect a lot of books. It likes to read a lot. It's very self-righteousness because it's always reading a lot, getting more and more academic information and academic degrees. The ninth house is a house that propels you towards knowledge, towards more complex type of knowledge, something that you have to go to university to learn, or something that requires a lot of attention, a lot of deep thinking. So the ninth house is always a house where Mars is going to be very active, because it's the ninth house is a fire house, because it correlates to Sagittarius. And when you have Mars there, which is a very fierce planet, very action oriented planet, it's going to orient the action towards all ninth house subjects. And this is an area where you're going to be very much concerned with studies, with traveling, with the truth, with religions, with philosophy, with a lot of mental pursues. You go after the magic is very much connected to the mind. Ninth house people, they enjoy being around intelligent people, because they really get bored very easily if they don't have that interesting interaction with other people. So ninth house people, they can be some nose up sometimes, because they think they know a lot, because usually they go after knowledge, they acquire the knowledge, and sometimes they can even like brag for the amount of curriculum they have, the amount of degrees that they have acquired, and also their thinking process is like superior to the everyday person. So usually when you have Mars in the ninth house, is someone who is going to be passionate about higher knowledge, who is going to be passionate about ideas. So this person can manifest a debater, someone who likes to step on the stage and debate something, someone who is going to fight for a certain idea. This is typical. The fighting energy is typical to Mars, and the ideas, the higher ideas, are connected to the ninth house, third house, ninth house, and 11th house. And so the bright mind of someone who has Mars in the ninth house will allow them to be teachers too. So this is very important. When you learn, when you acquire knowledge, you are then ready to step on a stage and share that information with your audience, or people that you don't even know who you're going to reach, but you are, because Mars is very intentional in its ability to to push something forward. Mars is a very forward moving planet. It likes action, it thrives in action. So when Mars is in the ninth house, it's always pushing us for a bit more of adventure, a bit more of research, a bit more of knowing, a bit more of going for things that are not obvious. The ninth house helps people figure out things that were not thought before. So it's a very intellectual house in a way, because it allows you to open your view to wider perspectives of different fields of existence, different sciences, different locations, different cultures, different languages. The ninth house is the house of the foreigner too. So everything that is related to other types of cultures, it's very meaningful for someone who has Mars in their ninth house. So um, I took notes. Let me see what else I want. Oh, about being honest. The ninth house, Mars is a very blunt, straightforward shooter. It says exactly what it crosses their mind. So sometimes they can be too honest and hurt somebody else's feelings, but that's not really something that Mars cares about, because Mars is very individualistic. It's very much about the self, what the self wants, how the self wants to feel. So when you have it in the ninth house, you are sure to have a teacher, someone who's going to push out information, who is going to share information, who is going to have the thrill, because Mars is also about something that moves me and gets me going. So the ninth house is like, it gets me going for the adventure of knowledge. Not only that, but also the ninth house correlates to outdoors activities. So someone with Mars in the ninth house is probably someone who not only likes to travel abroad, but this person may also, depending in which sign it is, it might be someone that is attracted to sports, especially sports that require adventure, those sports that are not so much under rules, like let's say windsurfing, surfing, skydiving, or something that really doesn't have it. You do have to have certain ability to perform the type of sport, because Mars is also about your physical ability to stand in the world. So the ninth house, I think the ninth house has a lot to do with your Manipura chakra, the chakra that is just above the navels, and it's giving you the ability to project yourself to something interesting, or to project yourself for with a fierce energy is the typical Martian energy or attitude. And so when it's in the ninth house, it's gonna take you to places where very few people go. When you have those types of people that can go, can go for radical types of sports, or it can be someone, either a man or a woman, that like to take risks outdoors, because again, the ninth house has a lot to do with nature, your relation to nature, how much you interact with nature. So the Mars position in the ninth house, if I am looking at a women's chart, a women chart, I will also be able to detect detect that she has an attraction for foreign men, or for someone with that kind of like ninth house, the teacher, or someone who fascinates them, you know, that taking into consideration that a woman is interested in a man. Okay, so we're talking pretty much about uh not as a choice of sexuality, but it represents more of a male, a man. So and if it's a man's chart that he has Mars in the ninth house, so you know that he's probably going for some action, so, and the love making is kind of like sporty, like, people like to do different things, or maybe have sex in the wild, outdoors at the beach, like camping. That turns them on, because the ninth house is a very adventurous house too. So yeah, take that into consideration. So yeah, I also wrote about eccentric behavior. The ninth house is likes to expand everything. Remember the that Sagittarius trait, the correlation of the ninth house to Sagittarius. So when you have Mars in the ninth house, you find someone who will like to be in contact with the eccentric ideas, eccentric philosophies, cultures that will bring some kind of like mystical or religious experience. That could be the case too, like mystical, eccentric, or maybe go with someone who is going to be an archaeologist, someone who can be, like I said, related to sports. That's something that could come with this position too. And I also see that Mars in the ninth house could be a good lawyer, someone who knows how to fight for what's right and what's wrong. That's typical ninth house. It's like, how how can I prove myself, or how can I prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this is like this, So ninth house people, sometimes they're very competitive on the intellectual side. So they want to prove themselves academically. They want to, if they get in a discussion, they are taking into consideration that Mars is there, they're going to get opinionated. Not only that, they're gonna get they can even get combated, combative. Wow. um when you engage in a combat, like when you engage in a combat of words, like the of ideas, like you're always discussing how things are supposed to be, how things are supposed to be ruled, rules and laws. It's always something related to the ninth house too, religious dogma. Mars in the ninth house can be someone who is like really a strong defendant of some religious law, some religious dogma, or moral. Yeah, something interesting about Mars in the ninth house too is that it gives the person the ability to have a very significant type of laugh. It's usually someone who, when the person smiles or it laughs, that ninth house is always related to happiness, to optimism. So those two things are important for you to see, uh, um, to do a little research of how that Mars is working for that specific person. And then you're going to have to go to different signs to see how Mars in each sign um, behaves, right? Let me see what else. About being confident. Yes, the ninth house, because it's very intellectual. It's very projects a sense of confidence too, even against all odds. Maybe the person is like stepping on a stage to give a class, or to deliver a TED talk or something like this, or a board of directions, or they are gonna travel abroad to present a certain project or to sell an idea. Mars in the ninth house will give the person that sense of confidence of being right, or being empowered by of an optimistic view that whatever they engage in, they are going to thrive. Let me see what else. Yeah, they enjoy learning and seeing. They like to challenge their brains. It's an important trait to, ninth house people. They like to, instead of like sitting down in a restaurant and having conversations overnight with friends, ninth house people would rather be in a museum, or going hiking in an exotic place. It needs that little differential type of stimulus that ordinary activities don't have. So Mars in the ninth house is very restless because it's always looking for more stimulus, for something more interesting. So it can be hard to capture the attention of Mars, of someone who has Mars in the ninth house. Very much. Mm, blah, blah, blah. Yes, appreciation. They appreciate their mind so much. Their thinking process is like so sophisticated that the confidence unfolds to that point where the person is like proud of themselves. Mars in the ninth house is such a noble, uh, um, intellectual type of uh, of manifestation, that the person is always looking for something more interesting to learn and to share. So it's like a book maniac too, someone who is always highlighting books, who is also quoting someone that they think that inspire them. And they don't like anything that looks like small. They don't like anything that looks limited in their thinking process. They don't like to be talking to people that will be nagging all the time. Mars in the ninth house is the search for, is the pursuit of optimism. I'm not even going to say happiness. It could be happiness too. Ninth house, because it's a firehouse. Firehouses are houses where the person is always in the pursuit, is always going to pursue some kind of self-expression, and therefore, if you know how to self-express yourself, it's a good start for you to to have a meaningful life, and therefore to be said to be happy. You have an interesting life. If you have an interesting life, you don't even need to be super rich. The ninth house is more interested in the richness that comes from the brain and from the brain activity than from the pocket itself. It's preparing for the ninth house, so it's like, it's where your skills are super sharp. Ninth house is like when not only you are an expert, but you are the teacher, someone who is going to share their knowledge. The teaching process is very much related to the third house, getting the speech together, being able to transmit it through the speech. The fifth house is like when you really like to have your audience. It doesn't mean that every teacher needs to have a fifth house, an active fifth house, because an active fifth house for a teacher would be the charismatic teacher. Someone who just opens up for the charming expression of the fifth house, and then they bring their brightness. The first house, the fifth house, and the ninth house are the fire houses. So these houses, when you have planets there, especially like Mars, it's really gonna be someone with a strong self-expression. Yeah, you that's for sure. Mars in the first house, Mars in the fifth house, Mars in the ninth house, it's a fire planet of action in fire houses. So, you know for sure that this person has a strong signature. Well, let me see how I am doing with my time here. 3:06. Okay. So, yeah. So, ninth house people, they're looking to learn a new thing every day, So, uh, can you imagine if after 360 days, they have how much information, knowledge they have acquired? Because they're always like opening a book, uh, or joining a podcast, or joining a workshop. Ninth house people are people who are definitely committed to grow in life through knowledge. And they are also manifesting the energy of adventure, and the energy of adventure has a lot to do with the expansion, right? It's like you are detaching from the known, from what was told to you, and you're liberating yourself in order for you to embrace a larger view of the world. So yeah, Mars in the ninth house is a very interesting position. If you find it in a chart, you will know that that person is pretty much a pioneer. It has started from a point where they have to go after their knowledge, or their anything that they are conquering in life, their success. Mars in the ninth house is like the ability to broadcast yourself, to make other people understand how powerful your ideas are, how powerful your self expression is. So you are going to, in the ninth house, you are going to prepare yourself to balance your ability to speak with your ability to create new ideas, and with your ability to share that as fact knowledge. Like, this is something that it's with me and it's gonna stay. It's people that work with their brain energy, a teacher, a counselor, a psychiatrist, or someone who does international business, who is a consultant, who sells their service with the mind. Or they can go, like I said, to the expression of the more adventurous physical expression of Mars in the ninth house. Uh, yeah, it could be a high performance athlete that happens to compete in different countries. The ninth house is also about different countries, so this could be happening too. Now, let's just look at Mars in each sign in the ninth house. So Mars in Aries in the ninth house is going to be someone who is going to fight for their ideas no matter what. They can be very argumentative. They can be someone that it's always trying to convince other people to do this or that, or they can be like a leader, is a keynote speaker in seminars. It can be someone who takes the stage to teach, to share an idea. It could be someone in a government that faces the public with a message, about a plan, about an idea, about a new philosophy. It can be someone who initiates something, because Mars in Aries is the initiator. So it's definitely someone with a very strong leadership of signature, and someone who will not only want to learn, but it will have that drive to initiate the teaching of something. So Mars in Taurus in the ninth house, it can be someone who's going to be more focused in one specific subject. They might be the super experts in a certain field, because Taurus is Earth, and it's very grounded. It could be that they become an expert and they teach something on the economical front, or maybe they are that person who is articulating something uh, that will teach, like a teacher for the economics, or it could be CFO, the chief financial officer for a company. That would be an expression too. And then it could be someone teaching something on, like I said, on the financial or financials, or someone who has a spa, who owns a spa, a place for the well-being, very Taurus like, or this person might even own a restaurant with an international cuisine signature, because the ninth house has to do with the foreign cultures too. Mars in Gemini in the ninth house. Wow, this person is going to do a lot of teaching, a lot of chatting, a lot of changing ideas. But they might be those who are looking for to translate to the wider audience the small fractions of information that put a big system together, a big university, like those who are going to uh, bring the grid together, put the grid together, find out what kind of information they need to put something together, okay, to put some project together that will lead them to a higher mind. But once you have Mars and Gemini in the ninth house, it could also be a waste of that ninth house energy, because the person will have a hard time deeping digging and deepening the ability to do long-term studies. They will want to do the shortest of the long-term studies. Maybe the person will go to college but will not go to the university. This is a typical position of someone who maybe went to college to ninth house, but did not have the patience to go deep into the next stage, a university, and then to get a doctorate. It's not going to happen. Mars in Cancer in the ninth house, it can be someone that works with the hospitality business, because Cancer has a lot to do with hospitality, and it's something that will allow foreign people to come to that hospitality ambience. So we could see something like this happening, or it could be that someone adopts a foreign land as their home, because Mars is the one who goes places, right? It's just like it's restless, so it wants to go places. And then Cancer is the house, so Mars in the ninth house in Cancer takes their house to a foreign land. This is a possibility there too. So many other possibilities are open, but these are the main. Mars in Leo in the ninth house, it's like super powerful. This person is really going to fight to outstand. They're going to be someone who will need a lot of compliments for their thinking process. They're going to go after it, and they're going to give their best in order for them to get that recognition, because Leo wants the recognition. So does Mars, and so does the ninth house. So it's a triple combination: ninth house, Mars, and Leo. uh, that will give the person, like, that super bright mind that will look for um, compliments and all kinds of how do you call that, prizes. They like to be in the red carpet, and they might be a scientist or someone who is going to be uh, maybe a performer, music, dance, or something like this, that brings the Leo to other venues, like other countries, other venues, more adventures. Or it could be an elite athlete too, because Leo has to do with like, I'm the winner, I'm the best. So it could be like I'm the best in some type of sports. You can see that too. So Mars in Virgo in the ninth house is awesome. It's an awesome position for someone who wants to be the principal of an university, someone who is a patron for the arts, for science. They have the need to invest energy into creating methodology, into creating Virgo, into creating routine that will allow a certain number of people to enjoy the methodology that has been created by the ninth house. And then the ninth house in Virgo, Mars will also be someone who is looking for perfection. So it could be that person who is like goes after that straight A's all the time, someone who is like really looking to be a straight A student, and just be on a dean's list and all of that, because Virgo has a lot to do with doing the best, doing perfect. And it could be very restless for the mind too, because the ninth house has a lot to do with the mind. Virgo there, it's always like pushing you to do more and be more perfect, and it's restless because the mind is always going for details. But at the end of the day, these people can teach you a lot because they have the methodology and they have the details, and they're after recognition. Take that into consideration. Mars in Libra in the ninth house. Mars in Libra in the ninth house can be like the jet setter, someone who is like really ninth house type of like person who steps on a stage and enters the room, and it's all gloomy, and it's like all beautiful, and it's bringing it could be an architect, someone who does the ninth house, uh, who is a teacher, who is the master, and who is also someone looking for the aesthetics. It could be an interior designer, it could be an architect, or it could be a diplomat, or it could be a social jet setter too, or it could be a performer, someone who does something like a model, someone who steps on the stage, who does a little show. Mars has a lot to do with this movement. So Mars in Libra can bring all of that, and it can be someone with a very specific need to show up as someone with a classical type of thinking process, elegant thinking process, elegant choice of words. uh Mars in Scorpio in the ninth house is like, it's the teacher who's gonna give you the hard time because it really wants you to squeeze out the best of you. Like it really likes to push a lot of uh, edge. Pushes an edge element to your intellectual performance. Hold on, let me be right back. Okay, so I'm back. So yeah, Scorpio in the ninth house is someone like who's super determined to do something big, because Scorpio is obsessed with power. So is Mars. So is the ninth house, but it's someone who is going to stand out as that person who thinks of complex situations, someone who can be also on the forefront of new ideas that are related to business, because the ninth house is the explorer, Mars is the go-getter, and Scorpio is like, give me more power because that's what I need. So put all of these three together in a chart, so you know that someone that you're doing the reading for has a very strong personality, has the need to assert themselves in a very strong and convincing way. Convince and convert, right? That's a typical Scorpio, in Mars and Scorpio in the ninth house. It's like the teacher who will tell you uh, not only what to do, but how to do and with whom to do. You know, Scorpio has that ability uh, to put together strong personalities, people with a lot of power. So this could be also someone that will lead the way for a bunch of other peoples, like a lawmaker, a majority leader, a board member, a top athlete that runs high risks, because Scorpio has to do with high risks too. And as related to sports, it could be someone who will go for like Formula One, or parachuting, or all kinds of uh, um, or it could be someone who is going to be deployed to a war too, because a war, it's something that usually you engage in death, right? That's the Scorpio. And then the ninth house is like a war abroad, someone who's going to be deployed to go to Iraq, Afghanistan, yeah, Yemen, all these places where they're gonna have to have the courage of Mars. Don't forget, Mars is courage. It's confidence and courage and stamina and the grit, of Mars. And so Mars in Sagittarius in the ninth house. Wow, what a perfect place, right? Because the ninth house is correlated to Sagittarius. And we're talking about Mars in Sagittarius in the ninth house. So this is someone who is like super optimistic, someone who probably goes after being super expressive. He's going to look for the best type of exaggerated experiences in the outdoors, or they're gonna have to be like the best teachers, those that can really fascinate a greater number of people, because they are embodied with Zeus themselves. They're like, I am the almighty Sagittarius, fiery, I'm gonna go get it. So Mars and Sagittarius in the ninth house, if you're not seeing the client right there, or if it's someone that you know that the person is a fighter for the ideas. It could be someone who really doesn't give a damn for what other people think. This is the ninth house. Listen to this. Mars in the ninth house, usually the person doesn't really care about what other people think, because they are their own masters. Okay, so when it's in Sagittarius, you elevate that, you escalate that to the maximum expression. And then you see that this person is not someone that you can tell them what to do, because they will not do. Mars in the ninth house is not very flexible. They will do exactly what they want to do. Either you adjust or you're out of their game. That's I would say that Mars in the ninth house is it's empathic. Yes, it's empathic, as long as they don't have to give up being their own selves, or they don't have to give up on their ideas. So Mars in Capricorn, the ninth house, is like that serious person, that serious teacher. He's the patron of the university. Maybe Duke, like Duke. They put a university after him. Someone who, or maybe it could be like a constitutional lawyer. The ninth house has to do with law, so Mars in the ninth house is an excellent place for lawyers, not to mention when it's in Capricorn. So when Mars is in Capricorn in the ninth house, it's someone who is going to build strategic ways of convincing other people. in a larger proportion. It could be someone who is a diplomat again, or it could be a chief of staff for a for the government, someone with a higher position, but it's related to uh, to establish the norms of a certain government or a certain governance, in the field of knowledge, in the field of, it could be someone who is the owner of an MBA, a team, for example. Ninth house has to do with high performance athletes too, or sports. So when you have Capricorn, Mars in Capricorn there, it could be like a press agent for the NBA championship, or for the US Open, tennis uh, championship or something like this. Or it could be the delegation of soccer, or football or something like this, because the ninth house has to do with big sports, not only like fifth house where it's playful, but the ninth house is where they take that to the next level. And then when you find Mars in Aquarius in the ninth house, you have the visionary, someone who is studying a lot, who is doing Aquarius thinking process, who is ahead of their times, who is communicating the ideas, because Mars is that energy that takes you to do something, it's the initiator. And then when it's in the ninth house, is always looking for ideas to expand themselves through the expression of the sign. And when it's in Aquarius, you are dealing with someone with a higher mind, no doubt about it. A Mars in Aquarius in the ninth house is someone who really knows how to think. They might even be like, I am the one who knows everything, I am the best of the best. Not that they are so much related to being in a spotlight, but they are because of the quality of the ideas that they are trying to express. Because the ninth house is very expressive. I would say that from the expressive houses is the one that expresses itself with more strategic alignment with what they want to convey, right? And then I could do another video just to talk about why that is so, but just take my word as it is, and just think about that. The ninth house is the higher mind. And then when I have Aquarius there, it's just like, someone who really learns how to think since they are little, because Mars is the impulsive side of ourselves. It's like the inner child that it's not taking orders, so it's going places, and it goes places with the wardrobe of the sign where it is in. You see, so it's going to put that cover, that coat related to the sign. So Mars in Pisces in the ninth house is pretty interesting because it's going to bring about the whole brightness of the non-rational mind. The I don't have Mars in the ninth house, but I have Pisces in the ninth house. So I can say that having the Piscean energy in the ninth house, it's just like, okay, so I want to have the knowledge, but I want to see how that uh, trespasses everything else. How is that connected to the whole universe? How is that making me be of a greater good influence to the evolution of the species? The ninth house has to do with the evolutionary process by knowledge. Pisces is about the evolutionary process of the soul by knowing, just knowing. And what kind of knowing is that? Is the channeling knowing. It's about picking up information, but it's not about being rigid to the information that you pick up. You just bring other elements from the thinking process, because the ninth house is the higher thinking process. So when Pisces is there, the person can be very intuitive. The person can know things. They can perceive how other people act and perform in advance, because their sensitive nature is bringing all that information in. And it's probably someone who likes to travel to mystical places, places where you can see the pyramids, places where you can come in contact with vibrational vortexes in the earth. Um, it could be like completely off-road type of experience, talking about the adventure nature of the ninth house. Is someone who likes to go in the wild, who likes to be quiet, who likes to do sports that will allow them to come in silence connection to divine timing and divine marriage to the whole atmosphere where they are uh, you know merging with. It's about merging. It's about merging with the knowledge. It's about merging with the high values of the mind, because the ninth house is also about the high values of the mind, right? So it's about knowledge, but it's about morals, it's about ethics, it's about knowing how to be righteous, how to be right, how to be centered, how to be in full integrity. That's the ninth house. And Mars there's, it's gonna bring its fiery intention to the ninth house. You just need to know who they are going to hold hands with each sign, each of the signs of the zodiac. So again, my name is Sandra Nicolaysen. I'm going to close this video here and wait for the next one. Mars in the 10th house. This is going to be a powerful one too. So stay tuned.